Aubrey, I think you are one of my most tenacious friends.
I am. Ooh, that reminds me of Tenacious D. Have you ever heard
Exactly.
that band? I am pretty tenacious. I have quite a bit of tenacity. Um, though I do admit sometimes if things get really tough, I will give up. I'm like, meh, not worth it.
But, that's an ability we gain as we get older as well, knowing when to give up, because sometimes
Yes.
that's the better choice.
Right.
Guys,
For our
we are
mental
talking.
health.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about amazing vocabulary today, Band 9 vocab for giving up and not giving up, I suppose. We gave you a little preview last week. We said we would give you some excellent vocabulary today, and so we will. We are going to teach you Band 9 adjectives and provide you with example sentences that you can use on the test.
Yes, and this is such a good strategy because if there is a question where you're struggling a little bit to come up with lots of interesting details, you can almost always talk about your level of persistence about that, right? If you share whether you do or don't do something or like something, often this is going to be related, right? Do you have that stick to itiveness to
Yeah.
continue doing something even if you don't like it?
And also, like it comes it occurs to me that all of the part 1 questions asking you about what you did as a child compared to now, I feel like all of these could be used in that case
Mm.
as well, say like when you were a kid, you played a lot or you did a lot or you ate a lot or like whatever, and now you have to behave differently as an adult or you have a different endurance or stamina or whatever. So,
Mm.
we're not giving you sample questions today because this vocabulary could be used for so many different topics. So instead, we're just going to give you awesome example sentences.
Yes. All right, let's dive in with the first one, which is endurance. And this is the ability to do something for a long time without getting tired. So here's a great example. When I was a child, I had a ton of endurance. I could run for miles, never get tired. However, these days, it's another story. That's so true.
So endurance is a noun. It is an ability, right? A quality, a characteristic sometimes. And we usually use this for physical efforts,
Mhm.
so if you're asked about exercise, working out, health, this is a great noun to throw in there. And here's a bonus idiom. It's another story. These days it's another story. What does that mean?
Yeah, it means a different, like things are different. Things have
Yeah.
changed. Exactly. That's a good one.
All right. And the next word, guys, is also a noun. It is closely related to endurance, stamina. So, stamina does mean endurance. Um, you could use it in exactly the same way. Like I could just plop that into the example sentence from before.
Mhm.
When I was a child, I had a ton of stamina. So it could be used for physical effort, but we also use it for mental effort as well. Like I early on in the week, I have such great stamina for work. I could put in like 8-hour days, no problem. However, when it gets to Thursday and Friday, my stamina deflates and I cannot work for very long.
Yes, imagine if you're talking about what you did the morning of the exam to say like, "I had to eat something hearty, so I had a bowl of oatmeal so that I would have the stamina to finish this exam today."
Yes. Oh my gosh. This vocabulary is so useful, you guys. Aubrey, what is another sentence with stamina that has to do with physical effort?
Yeah, you might say, "I've never been much of a runner, but I've definitely been able to increase my stamina lately, and last week I ran 8 miles."
Nice.
I'm so impressed with myself. Other people are running 100-mile runs, not me. No.
Not anymore. I remember like growing up, I feel like I had the endurance of a goddess. Like I would jump in a soccer game and I would never ask to come out.
Oh,
Like I
wow.
never asked for
Never
a
got
sub.
tired.
I would just play the whole 90 minutes and never get tired. I wish I could go back and just
Right.
grab that endurance.
I know. We were playing in an indoor soccer league where there's really not pauses. It just goes and goes and goes. And I was
Yeah,
like subbing myself out after a couple minutes because I'm like, I
it's
don't have the
hard.
lung capacity. I'm just not as fit as I used to be.
All right, so this next one is a little bit different, guys. Grit. So, grit is also a noun, and this means courage. I would say it is more on the informal side as far as vocabulary goes, but I would still love to hear a student use this in speaking part 3 or even see this in a task 2 essay.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a really good example. You could say, I feel that kids these days need a different kind of grit than when I was growing up. All of the anonymous interactions, bullying, and such on social media places a lot of pressure on young hearts and minds.
Sadly, right?
Yeah, right.
Um, so look already like how many different topics we've used these words in. We're talking about media, we're talking about childhood, physical like workouts and exercise and work habits. I mean, just already with the first 3 words, we've shown you guys so many different topics that this vocabulary pertains to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next one is perseverance, which this is very generally applicable. It's anytime you keep trying, keep doing something, even though there are challenges, setbacks, delays.
Yeah. I think to my mind, this word is really used when it's like you keep trying. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like with IELTS, sometimes you have to take the exam a few times, but not if you get into 3 keys IELTS because we guarantee a score increase. But
Yes.
for some people who like continue to take the exam and not get the scores they need, you could say that they are continuing to persevere or they're showing perseverance by continuing to try.
Yes, and this is so useful because you can either share positive like that you do have perseverance, or for lots of things you're talking about, you could share when you don't. Like, for
Yeah.
example, when it comes to diets, I have 0 perseverance. I usually give up after 2 days.
I have started so many amazing habits and then just given up
Yep.
within like a week.
It's too hard. It's too difficult.
And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to not have perseverance for everything because you know what?
Totally.
You cannot. You cannot do all of the things. And this is something that maybe you could talk about in speaking part 3, right? Like growth mindset and boundaries and all of these healthy adult ways of dealing with the world. I think all of these words could could be used in those answers. All right, and the last word, guys, we mentioned at the top of the show. So the noun is tenacity, which is a very cool word, and the adjective is tenacious. And if you speak to any American who is our age or maybe younger, maybe a bit older as well, we think of Jack Black's band Tenacious D. They're like a joke rock band. They're amazing.
It is amazing. I just recently saw on YouTube or somewhere they did, like, a medley of Beatles songs, and it
Oh
was
my gosh.
fantastic.
Oh, I
I
love it.
loved it.
I love it so much. I do follow Jack Black on Instagram
Nice. Oh,
100%.
he's so
He's
funny.
he's always doing like outreach and
Oh,
like
that's
little funny
awesome.
videos, but then also lots of like volunteering and
Mm.
I
That
don't know.
doesn't
He's
surprise me.
awesome.
He seems like such a good person,
Yeah,
so shout out to
totally.
Jack Black. I'm sure he listens to the pod.
Oh, definitely.
Why wouldn't he?
Friend of the pod, Jack Black. Anyway, so let's get back to IELTS here. So how could we use tenacity on the exam?
Yeah, so it just means to continue to do something even when it's hard, a lot like perseverance, but
Yeah, totally.
students won't know to use this. It's a very band 9 word. I don't know if I've ever heard a student use it in
Nope,
an IELTS
never.
speaking. So, yes, right, add it to your vocab notebook. You might say, my brother has always had impressive tenacity. Once he starts a project, he always finishes it. I, on the other hand, am terrible about giving up once something gets challenging.
No, I don't believe that. So guys,
Imaginary examples, Jess.
these words are great to show positive characteristics and also in sort of self-deprecating answers where you're being honest about
Mm,
maybe a weakness, and that's
yeah.
also great, guys, because remember, you don't have to be totally positive 100% of the time on the speaking exam. You can't. And in writing task 2, you definitely won't be because you're always talking about like disadvantages of things and negatives of things. So I want you guys to have sort of two brain boxes for these words, the
Mhm.
positive of using them, but then also saying how it's negative when these things don't happen, right? Because they're
Right.
just as useful that way.
Yes, and there are just so many questions they're going to be useful for. Imagine if you're talking about like planning vacations, exercising, diet, like we've been talking about, dating, maybe. Lots of things you can either
Oh
talk
my
about
gosh. Yeah.
how you are really good at sticking to it, persevering, or
Hmm.
you're not, right? So, oh
Yeah.
man, just so many questions these will be useful on.
All right, guys. So remember to listen to this episode a couple times, write down these vocabulary words. But one more time for you, we have endurance and stamina. These two nouns mean that you can just go for a long time and not get tired physically and mentally. We have grit, a noun, which is courage and strength, usually like moral strength, I feel like. And then perseverance and tenacity, meaning you keep trying, you keep working, even when it gets hard.
Oh,
All right,
Jess,
awesome.
good job summarizing. We had one of
Thank
our
you.
listeners on YouTube said, "Please summarize the vocabulary." We're going to try to do that better. Jessica, I love that you got serious.
I
That's really way to have,
remembered.
way to be
Yay.
tenacious about that goal.
Thank you. I persevered in
Yes.
fulfilling his request. All
Nice.
right, guys. Thank you for listening to the show today, and we'll be back tomorrow. Have a good day,
Awesome.
Aubrey.
You too. Bye.
Bye.